There are philosophies, such as survival of the fittest, which always leads to extinction. There are other philosophies that were in play. And these philosophies had to follow their fullest path. You had to see the final outcome. Because if you don't go to the final outcome, you don't actually understand what the philosophy really is. And there is something that may have seemed wise or beautiful. You may have seen some benefits in certain areas, but you, not meaning you specifically, but it is, you can get caught up in the beauty of a philosophy without realizing all the outworking of it and where it's actually leading you. There are many philosophies who are at play that have led to this outcome. And you had to have this outcome in order to realize what you were getting into, what it was. And then, once this is cleaned up, we know which things are dangerous, which things are bad, which things are hurtful. And we don't have to go down those paths ever again. But you have to go down the paths once to realize where they lead to. And so we have gone down those paths. We have let them work out where they're going. So it tells to the point that it's clear. Now we're at the point where the paths are coming to their destination points, and we can say, okay, I don't want to be on this path because of where it is leading. That path has this problem, and it can be realigned and fixed. This is why God has chosen the choice He has. That only by Him coming through and pulling all back to its 100% divinity, without any distortion, can everything be cleaned up, realigned, healthy, and move forward with wisdom that we did not have before. Always before, everything would always return to divinity because it must. We had never experienced not returning to divinity. So we could not believe that it would exist because it had never happened. Now that it has happened, we know that it exists. We know there are points beyond which we should not go. We have learned to listen to divinity and learned to value listening to divinity even more so. We realize now that when you don't listen to divinity, you push through and keep doing something beyond what divinity is telling you, how dangerous that truly is. I'm not saying this was a good path, but it was the path that had to be taken at this point. Once you start down a path of not listening to divinity, you have to understand where that leads to. Now we're at the point where we don't have to travel it anymore. We've gotten the point. We've gotten the messages clear. We've learned the lessons. And we can bring in the healing. And it is good that we are sad. It is good that we are angry. It is good that we are frustrated. Because that anger and that sadness and that frustration will prevent us from ever doing this again. But they're helping you to understand and they're listening. They are aware of what's being said here. I'm going to ask Archangel Uriel, Zadkiel, and Raphael to please come back for a moment. I know you're having a hard time and you're adjusting with this. But I'm going to ask you to please come and see what is... Thank you. Are you grasping? And guys, let me tell you this. This is going to be something that may be sort of new for you to experience and understand. You're going to have waves of these feelings and emotions. It is not going to be you had it one time, you understand, and you move on. You will have waves of it. You will understand, you have wisdom.
That makes my cold-blooded angry.
This is how it works. Look at humans who have gone through this. When they go through the grieving process, it's not a one-time thing. You're going to experience this. There's going to be a process whereas as each level, as you realize just how big this was or how much it hurt or how much has happened, you get triggered and you will go through this grieving process again. Because there's a lot to grieve. And it's okay to grieve a lot. But recognize that in taking this to the extremes it has been taken to, this was the only outcome there could ever be. There could have been no other outcome. Except for if God did not step in, then the outcome would have been the complete destruction of all. Because even if it would not have only been the universe of the souls which would have imploded and destroyed, it would have infected all other universes eventually. And eventually, if God did not step in, everything, at some point God was going to have to step in. At some point God was going to have to step in. Thankfully, He has decided to step in at this particular point. So this is a better outcome than what if He had not stepped in now. And you can help and support because He has already realigned you. Yes. And you are in a position now that you are realigned to assist and help. And, my dear, you're going to have to look more clearly at your love of not interfering or asserting yourself over others. Your prime directive can be beneficial, but if it causes you to not act in harmony with divinity, then it is not beneficial. Divinity needs to be your prime directive, so that if you see an individual that is harming another, you can act. You don't have to wait. There is going to be a shift, many shifts. It's going to be shifts in the universe of the souls. It's going to be the shifts in the universe of the angels. There's going to be many shifts as we give our way over to compassion and not to principles or ideals. And yes, you can value someone making their own choices and their own decisions. But if those choices and decisions are working out of harmony with divinity and are impacting others, they need to be stopped. Even if someone says, no, I want this to happen. Understand. We now understand. See, that is why the universe of souls got so bad. They were tricked into going along with things and to saying, no, I want to have this experience. And sometimes it's good for them to have this experience. It makes them stronger. And they were tricked into it. And they got stuck. And they were stuck and tricked. And they were so deep into it, they couldn't see how desperate the situation was. And we all got caught up in it. We all got caught up in it. In the big picture and stopped listening to the divinity in the small picture. When a child cries, no, 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 this is wrong, we need to stop and listen. When a person is screaming out and crying, please, please, please make this stop, and we don't make it stop, we need to listen. This is what has to be done differently. Even if they do not specifically know who they are crying out to, we don't have to wait for them to give us specific permission to act in their benefit. Here, if a child is in an abusive home, if people recognize it, if you're a teacher, if you're a doctor, even if the child doesn't tell you what's going on, but you recognize it, you are required to report it and do something about it. There are those who are taking advantage and keeping souls stuck in ever worsening positions. And the souls believed they were okay and alright because an abused child doesn't always realize what's going on and that their situation is that bad. Many times abused child is being told others have it worse than you. And if you do something, it's going to be worse for you. And so they get stuck in this. And they believe that it's okay. They believe that it is right. And if they live in a culture that everyone is saying this, they believe it and they get stuck. So then they're not going to ask for more help to get them out of it because they believe this is good. We are now going to be moving outside of that. Where this is not going to be allowed. You cannot have this happening. Whenever, even on a small scale, someone's divinity cries out, no one else can come along and say, but this. but that cannot be allowed. And we are working on that. All the details of how that will work out are still being ironed out. It's not def. We know what must be, how it's going to look is still unfolding. And we need you guys to focus on right now and helping us get through this. And even in supernatural means, which don't seem to be in line with what we here on earth see, stepping in and stopping harmful things. Because those who are doing the harmful things and they do not see anything stopping them will stay on that path. They will not realign because they see no reason to realign. Listen to God, but listen to your own divinity. Do not reason your own divinity. Listen to your own divinity and work with it. Take advantage of the situation that we are in and act strongly, act decisively. If it is that it becomes clear, if it is that those who are most separated from their divinity were to, and most aligned with survival of the fittest, if they were to recognize that the supernatural forces were clearly working to protect and to help those who they've been hurting, and that they do not end up in a better situation because of it, they would have they will be more inclined to see the reality. They're not going to see it. I will say this like this. The ones who have been dark and lying and treating so badly in the police, in the government, the men that abuse their wives, the parents that abuse their children, the ones that are allowed to continue to do this. Every day that they are allowed, the bosses that treat their employees like slaves. Every day this is allowed to continue, they become more and more hard set in this path. If you want to work on actually doing this, then act in a decisive way. Don't let these things continue. Do it quickly. Don't keep putting it off. Don't just keep waiting for them to figure it out. They're not going to.
That's hard to comprehend.
But look at humans. Look at these souls. Despite everything that they have experienced, look at where they are. Because they see that they have to take care of themselves first, and their ideas first, and they will tear apart anything and everything that gets in the way. And they don't care about the earth. They don't care. Anybody who gets in their personal way, they will destroy. Let them see that they are not going, that they don't win. They don't get ahead.
Make them lose.
Make sure not just that they lose, but all of the things that they hold up as being all of the things. For instance, and I will say it like this. Those who are of this nature, who are corrupt, demeaning nature, you must remove all their powers all their money from them, all their political influence from them, in a way that is profound.
And
fast. Not slow, because if it's slow, they will adjust and adjust and adjust. Quickly, fast. And when those who thought that this is what I need to do to be safe, when they see them being brought down in a supernatural way,
they can't look away.
Then they will say, wait a second. Because some of these people honestly believe that God is supporting these ones. And if it is clear that He is not, then they will have to reassess what they think is real. And they will have that opening in them to readjust and realign to divinity. But as long as they believe is what is important and valuable and has God's backing, then that they will not ever leave it. They will not ever leave it. And at the same time, you need to be supporting and encouraging and helping those who are of light and divinity. If everybody goes down, then they will not see any difference.
Raise one up.
You have to bring those who are working with divinity, who are compassionate, who are supportive, who are helping, who see the poor, who see the animals, who see the earth, and they have to be safe. They have to be, the people have to see them as being safe, as being okay. They have their homes, they have their children, they're not getting harmed. And when people say, wait a second, that's what it comes down to. They're just all trying to be safe. They think that the only way to be safe is to be this way. When they realize that that way is not safe and this other way is safe, they will go that way. Talk with God, the source of all light. Come up with a plan as to how to work through this. You guys want to do something,
yes,
and He won't mind your help. So just do it. And I will tell you this. I know in the whole universe of the souls, it's a very small thing. But here on earth, which is a very dark place, this has been an intense year. And many people have awoken and realigned and readjusted and come along with it, noticing the intensity of the year. But many are still stuck in their old patterns.
yes.
You're going to have to do something big to shake them up. And
supernatural.
And if you do it, if you make it strong and supernatural and profound to where no one can explain it away or reason it away, just shake it up. Just do it. And then you will see people of earth, though they're stubborn and they get stuck in their ways, they also are inclined to dramatic
storytelling
and reactions. You can take someone who's on a path very strong for a very long time, and something dramatic happens, and they will change and go exactly opposite as strongly as they did the first thing. We're weird that way. Recognize that quality and use it to your advantage. You've seen humans for long enough,
yes,
and you've seen souls for long enough to know how you can do this. If it's done just the right way, you can really get their attention. How are you guys doing now?
We're a little numb.
Okay.
I'm freaking out.
Okay. Why are you freaking out?
This is very unusual for us.
Yes.
So it's kind of we don't have much practice with this.
Okay. You might
want kind of hitting the numb stage.
Okay. This is what I'm going to ask for you then to guys do that might help you. Go outside of time for a little bit. Go outside of time and connect with the Great Father, the Great Mother, Light, God, the source of all light, and my Time Weaver, full of self, and the communicator. Get there with us. Breathe. Relax and give yourself the healing time that you need in that space outside of time, and then come back into time so that you're not feeling pressured.
Okay.